Can you share the live streaming link? See it. You're sending to us. Can I do something for you? Start.
Did it go? Hello. Testing. Okay, we're going to start. We're going to start, okay? Okay. Hi. Hello, everybody. Okay. Let's get started. Okay. So today we're going to really do two things. One is figure out a teacher will be teaching you how to take your idea and then do something called a business model canvas for that particular idea, which means it is what is the process by which you figure out whether a company can be built around your idea. Because ultimately, our objective is to build a company, and it's better to build a company on a piece of paper that you can throw away if it doesn't look good, and then you can start with another piece of paper and throw that away, and then another piece of paper, rather than going ahead taking millions of dollars from people and then throw away the idea 2 years later. That a lot of people have lost their jobs and a lot of people have lost their money and things like that. So really the whole idea is to learn to evaluate your idea as thoroughly as possible and figure out the business merits for your particular idea before you actually pitch it. Because you find that ideas are actually dime a dozen. You know, sometimes people who haven't gotten into entrepreneurship think that, I'll never get another good idea. But it's actually the other way around, which is you're going to get lots of ideas, but to find the idea on which you're going to actually commit your future, commit lots of your employees' future, investors' money, all of that, getting that is the more difficult part. And that is what's really the most important aspect of being a successful entrepreneur. So actually what I find is that, because I teach entrepreneurship here and in India, is that in India, people, even though sometimes I feel that they have a good idea, they're still not willing to commit to the idea. And here I find that even without having a good idea, they commit to an idea. So it's a totally different mindset, Silicon Valley versus India. And probably Silicon Valley versus the rest of the world, if you really want to think about it that way. So I personally feel that if Silicon Valley actually needs this particular class and this particular thing that we're going to go through more than the rest of the world, because the rest of the world thinks till it's sometimes too late. Right here we jump in before and chase ideas that have very little chance of succeeding, and waste a lot of time. I think the only reason Silicon Valley is so successful is because there are so many people jumping in that somebody is bound to succeed, right? Anyway, so today we want to learn this thing called business model canvas. How to build a business model canvas around your idea, and then you'll soon get a good understanding as to whether your company or your idea can result in a real company, right? And what the business potential is. So essentially, I'm assuming that most people now are on the portal. Anybody not on the portal is yet? Okay, so wonderful. So everybody should be on the portal because we're already into week two, which is almost one third of the way into so 33% by the end of this class. So in this portal, week 2, and you'll see in week 2 we've got 3 tabs. On the left, we've got the presentation. If I click on that, okay. So if you click on this, you'll see the presentation slides. Then if I click on this, you'll see that there are, and one of them actually will play a video, which is the first video, 6-video series. And each video is only about 2 minutes long. And it will take you about 15 minutes to go through the 6 videos. It's a very nice and simple way of understanding, what a business model canvas is all about. So here we just do it using a presentation. I'll just pull the presentation here. Okay, so basically, let's understand the fundamentals of what a company is. I mean, most of you seem to be fairly experienced. So it's really a company that creates, delivers, and captures value, right? The value that customers assign to your product or service, the business actually captures it. And when that, once they capture the value, a lot of people would like to participate in that captured value and enjoy the fruits of that value. The investors, the company, and future investment, all of that comes from the captured value, right? And every company, if you look at it, has 4 main components. You have the customers, then you have the product, service, system, whatever, and then you have the infrastructure that's going to make that product or service, and then the financial element of it. So any company, whether it's Facebook, Google, Intel, Cisco, Telco, Apple, all have these 4 components. They all have customers, they all have a product or service, they all have a way to do it, infrastructure, and there is money that makes it all work. Does that make sense? Quite simple. So with the business model, we want to see how these 4 parts of any company are connected. So it's simple as that. The business model shows you how to connect all the 4 parts of this company. Right? So it's as simple as that, a business model canvas. And so it's kind of a blueprint that looks at organizational structure, processes, systems, all of it that connect the customers, the product to the. So let's take a look at what all of this means. So what it means is that you can take that same 4 chunks and break it out into 9 blocks, and you'll soon find out why these 9 blocks are important. So this is a chart that you need to actually memorize, and it's not difficult to memorize. Can somebody tell me which elements of this 9 blocks are the customer side? Which are the 9? Yeah, go ahead. That's it. Yeah. So 2, 3, and 4 are the customer portion of your business, right? It's basically the customer segments, the rich or the poor or the middle class or the industrial customers or a retail customer or consumers. So customer segments. what is going to be the relationship with the customer segment. You can have a one-to-one relationship, you can have a one-to-many relationship, you can have many-to-one relationship, you can have an indirect connection with the customer, web-based connection, internet-based connection, telephone-based connection, or a salesman who knocks on the door connection. So many different kinds of customer relationships are possible. Right? And there are many channels. You can provide the product and service like Amazon does, just through the web and directly it shipped to you, or they can actually act as a B2B2B. So they only act as intermediaries, somebody else ships the product, or some industrial companies typically used to have distributors. So distributors would be stocking distributors, non-stocking distributors. You can have sales reps. So many different channels. So basically, on the right-hand side, you've got boxes 2, 3, and 4, which all relate to the customer. Then the second element of the 4 elements that we're talking of is the product or service. So the product or service is number 1, right? So it's the product or service and the value that that particular product has for the customer that you're targeting. And the next element is the infrastructure. So which boxes are infrastructure? Yeah, 6, 7, 8. Basically, what are the key resources you're going to need to make it? What are the key activities? So, and then who are going to be your key partners? So, for example, Cisco outsources a lot of manufacturing to Foxtronics and this and that. So, their key partners are some of the manufacturing guys. If you look at Intel, for them, Microsoft was a key partner because they used to provide the OS for every new Microsoft that they used to come up with. So, key partner can be all kinds of people who symbiotically work with you in order to help you create a successful, help you get your product completed and the product and service be a nice offering to that customer. Correct? Key activities, if you're a software company, obviously it's the engineers writing software, the hardware company, people who are designing the product, people who are manufacturing, actually making the goods, people can be packaging it, people can be shipping it, all of those are key activities. And key resources can be the money, it can be the equipment, it can be the raw material, all of that is key resources. Right? So all of that goes into the infrastructure bucket of the 4 buckets. And the last 2 are simple, cost and revenue. Prefer to have revenue greater than the cost, right? And get there as quickly as possible. So you can see how now we have taken the 4 fundamental building blocks of any business and broken up into these 9 things. And what's interesting now is that with these 9 blocks, you can pretty much figure out how all the different companies work. How does Twitter work? If you can fill out these 9 blocks for Twitter, you'll understand how Twitter's relationships are and what their key vulnerabilities are, what their competitive strengths are, what their financial viability is. All of that you can figure out if you write a business model canvas for Twitter. Same thing for Cisco. Same thing for your startup. So once you fill out this box, this model for your idea, or for the company that you're envisioning for your idea, now you can discuss it, you can justify it, you can try to figure out, whether the business plan for this company that you're planning to come up with makes sense or not. Right? So that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to give you a tool, and this is called the business model canvas, which will go ahead and enable you to build a company of this sort. And what you'll find is that as you go and start making choices, you'll be making choices. Oh, I'm going to go with the direct sales force. But if I go with the direct sales force, then I must have enough margin to pay the salesman, enough margin to pay the applications engineer, enough margin to go ahead and have sales offices all over the world. So, oh, it's going to cost more than what my product, what customers are willing to pay for my product. So then you say that that kind of business model will not work for my company. It will be set it up. So yeah, so you'll see that for the company that you come up with, you now have an easy way to go back and forth. You create a, you say, okay, it's a direct sales model. I was spending so much on sales that the profitability of each transaction that I make is not enough to even pay the salesman's commission. So maybe that model doesn't work. So maybe let me go to distributor model, where I don't have to, so the distributor carries many different companies' products. I don't have to actually pay them their salary, etc. I just have to pay the distributor his margin, right? Distributor margin. And so I know exactly what my cost. Obviously, when you do that, you're losing your customer relationship. That's becoming diluted down. When you have a direct sales force, obviously your relationship is much tighter because your salesman works for you, he's dedicated to you, he's responsible to you. Uh, so the relationship that the customer or potential customer has with your company is very tight, but it's expensive when you do that. Distributor, less expensive, but weaker relationship. So you have to supplement the relationship or the way the value proposition is communicated to marketing, right? You'll do marketing, or you'll be doing email, you might be doing telesales, you might be doing other things to supplement basically the relationship portion that you need. So you'll see that there are many different ways that you can imagine what your company is going to be like, right? So with this canvas model that you have, when you guys come and actually present it, it'll be very easy for somebody who's sitting and saying, you know, you're going to make, $500 profit for every widget that you sell. Now you have a sales guy calling in an account. If he has to make 2 trips to make a sale on an average, then the cost of each trip to visit the customer is about $600. So 2 trips, $1,200, and you're selling a $500 widget, which has got 20% gross margin. So to earn $80, you're spending $1,200. So basically, the investor will say that business model is not going to work. Right? So it's very simple for the investor to figure out, and for us to figure out, anybody who's looking at the business model, and even your employees to figure out that my CEO really doesn't understand this business, right? So basically, the people uh, uh, who are involved with your company can figure out whether you have got the logic times together for the viability of your company, right? So same thing is true here. Like, a lot of people say, I'm going to provide the best customer service because, I'm going to have, my customer support people right here in Silicon Valley, because I can teach them exactly what the latest and greatest features of the product are. I know how they're going to communicate, but you find that the cost of one customer service person here, fully loaded, might be $80,000. And you cannot justify it based on the value you're getting from the customer service person. So you say, maybe it's better that I ship off this particular job to India, where the cost of customer service might be 800, maybe $8,000 instead of $80,000. and maybe even that doesn't work because I need to have my own manager. Maybe I can outsource it to a call center company, and they will charge me maybe $2,000. So all these are decisions that you would be making uh, as you figure out, you know, how to trade off, the customer relationship versus the cost versus the viability versus how much the quality. So everything is up for grabs when you're trying to imagine a company. It's your choice. You as an entrepreneur make the decision. You create your company, and that is the hardest thing for a lot of people because they're all being conditioned to work in a big company. So you know somebody maybe 10 years back, 20 years back, or 5 years back had already made all the decisions as to what the business model was going to be. Direct sales model, distributor model, tele-sales model, web-based selling model, viral marketing-based model, whatever it is. Somebody else had made the decision, and you're just there with your latest and greatest MBA from Harvard or Stanford, and you're trying to optimize or make it more efficient, make the telesales more efficient, and make the marketing more efficient, and make the product that's 5% better. So when you're a corporate employee, you're working at that level. You are a specialist who is hired for a specialist skills. You are not the guy who is going to create a whole new way of doing business. A whole new vision is not what you do as an employee. As an employee, you're a specialist. And companies hire you because you're best of class in a very narrow specialty. When you're an entrepreneur, you are actually a visionary and somebody you can imagine, create a person, and you can imagine businesses. And this is really your blank screen on which you basically paint your company. So that's how you should be looking. That's why it's called a business model canvas. It's a canvas. And the nice thing about this is you can don't like the painting that comes out, throw it away. So and you can invite people to critique it and give you feedback and so on. And that's the beauty of it. And you can say, oh, you don't like this motion? Oh, you change it. Boom, the company changed, right? It's as simple as that. So, okay, so you're basically going to create this business model canvas. So, um, Hello. No, I changed it to that. Okay, we are back on. Okay, sorry about that. We had a power outage, so we are back on. And I hope you guys are following us on. You guys are following us on the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
Because on fire, we are taking too much power.
Yeah. No, no, it's all on the same circuit. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's all the same lights and everything. So it's,
I think we are taking a lot of power with the extension box on fire. That's
yeah.
yes, but it's a fire socket, so that's
Oh. I think the problem that it's on the same circuit. So it should not be
Yeah, no, that's-
same breaker. We want the same breaker. That's perfect.
But we want to look at how many connections you have
Yeah.
to fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Can you get the sound?
Oh, it's not on.
Hello, speaking. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. Question. Yeah, we have gone. I've done the overview, so now we'll go more into each box. Go ahead. I will imagine your company. No, you actually come up with the idea based on your understanding of the market, your experience base, what you see happening out in macro trends in the marketplace, whatever. So ideas are generated totally different from business model canvas. Business model canvas is really to evaluate the viability of your idea and to try out different combinations. So you'll see that there's an unlimited number of permutations and combinations between these 9 boxes. So you can find, uh, in fact, it will be wonderful. It's a wonderful tool if you've got 5 competitors for your company. Uh, just as an exercise, it would be good to do a business model canvas for each company. Because one company might decide to actually, if we do go more granular, decide to pay its salespeople on commission. Another company might decide to pay its salespeople on salary. And you might get different behaviors, which results in different customer relationships, which results in more success or less success for one model versus another, depending on the kind of product you're selling, depending on the kind of motivation you need to sell. So you can actually use this business model canvas to actually understand the dynamics of your industry and all the players that are in the industry and so on. So I would say that, you know, um, that's how you want to end up using your, give me a second. So that's how you want to end up, really getting so comfortable with this business model canvas that you can quickly go ahead and imagine your company and document how it's really going to work, right? And you'll find that every 6 months, actually, your company will change character. When you are at very early stage, all you care about is getting the first customer, getting the first beta, getting a customer will give you a good reference. At a year later, it might be like, you want to get a little bit of press, you want to get that. Then it might be something else, ramping up into production. So suddenly, from the engineering department, the whole focus went into the manufacturing department. Then it might become, how do I scale up? So instead of manufacturing, it might all focus on how do you, go ahead and raise a lot of money. So basically, you'll find that the business model canvas itself needs to keep that updating itself. And as you update your business model canvas and you're comfortable, it very nicely becomes a tool for updating your business plan. Right? So because the business model canvas helps you to get all the different functions in your group. You'll see that the 9 things that I talked about actually maps nicely into most organizations. Most people will organize their company along those 9 building blocks, right? So it's easy to get all the 9 building blocks to understand, why the company is being run in a particular way. Sometimes, people are so isolated. Each group is so isolated. Like engineering is totally isolated from marketing, which is totally isolated from sales, totally isolated from finance. So when they're so isolated and they don't understand the interconnection and the dependencies on each other, it's very hard for them to uh, optimize the overall pie, the overall success of the company. So the whole goal, this particular tool is actually a wonderful tool to go ahead to put in the fan. So listen, if you can get somebody to turn on the fan. I think that, yeah. It should be fine. So, so the whole idea is that, so let's kind of dig down into this a little bit, and then what we'll do is we might have to get Andrew to help you out. Yeah. So, and then like after the break, we'll have I think there's at least about 20 or 30 people who have actually pitched in their ideas on the wiki. So we'll have all of y'all come to the stage one by one in 2 to 3 minutes, probably 2 minutes at this point, so that we have about 45 minutes left at the end to go ahead and try to convince people to get into your projects. And then the goal would be that in the next 10 days before the next class on July 9th, you've taken the first crack as a group to develop what you think is the right DMC for the idea of the project team that you're working on, right? So that's kind of the overall objective of this particular class. Right? Okay, so let me kind of quickly go through the variations that are possible in each of these 9 boxes, so that you understand, all the degrees of freedom that you have in order to build your company. For example, customer segments defines the different groups of people that your company is trying to reach, right? To sell the product to. And there are many different types of market. There can be mass market, niche market, segmented market, diversified market, etc. So many different kinds of market are possible for your product. Does anybody have any confusion on customer segmentation? No? Okay, perfect. Okay. So value proposition is all about why me? Why my product, right? What is so special about my product that satisfies the customer needs so well that it's extremely attractive to that particular segment that you're targeting. So the value proposition for some people might be speed of service. So if you remember for Opti, the value proposition was first to market. So for me, if I'm first to market, then the customers who decide to design my chipset in are going to be first to market. And the time to market was really the value proposition that Opti provided. We might not ultimately have the fastest chip or the chip with the most functionality, but we got the customer to the market the fastest. With Selectica, you know, my value proposition was that the most complex configuration that you have, we can do it in an easy fashion, right? So, uh, and I had competitors who could do simple configuration for cheap. And we decided to focus our product on people who had the most complex product but had deep enough pockets to pay the $5–10 million license fee that we were talking. So we decided to go for people with the most complex products or the most demanding configuration situations, but who could pay the maximum amount of money. Right? So the value proposition that a company might decide to have itself, we are all in the configuration space. Right? We are all in the chipset space. There are like 30–40 companies in the chipset space. And we just took a different approach to building our companies. And so essentially, if you look at value proposition, you can see that in some cases like design, uh, brand or status. So you think, where do luxury goods fit in? That's brand and status, right? Why would the same handbag sell for $30 versus $3,000? Just because it's Gucci versus something that, same material, same size, same functionality, but doesn't have the name. Right? Some brand status. Uh, some cases it's price. I'm going to be 10% cheaper. I'm going to be 50% cheaper. Some cases it's I'm going to go down the cost curve very quickly. So I'm going to give you, as the market becomes more and more competitive for your product, I commit to giving you lower and lower costs so that you make profit as the market becomes bigger and bigger. Some cases it's risk reduction, where a lot of people say that, look, I'm a big company, I'm not going out of business, and you design my product, I might be slow, I might be have few features, but I'm in business, so you can reduce risk by using my product. So there are many different value propositions that a company can go ahead and take, all in the same business. If you look at that, and these are decisions that you're going to be making for your respective ideas. If you look at the channels, this describes how each different company business model communicates the value proposition to the customer segment. You notice that it's value proposition, then you have your customer segment. Right? So, and you can have your own direct sales force, you can have web sales, own stores. I mean, all of us, I remember I was so skeptical and so surprised when Apple decided to have the very first Apple store. I mean, it was so retro a decision. None of us thought that, it made any sense. I mean, the whole world was going away from having their own stores. There was a time when, IBM and everybody had their stores, and then everybody, shut their stores and let, Computer Direct and Best Buy and others had their stores and so on, and they would just have a shelf on that in Best Buy, etc. So everybody had gone away from their stores. And for 3 or 4 years, it was all sold to other people's stores. And then suddenly Apple comes along and Steve Jobs says, no, they don't have Apple stores. It was such a amazingly ununderstandable decision. Now what's happened? If you don't have your own store, you're not going to be successful in the mobile phone and the tablet and even the PC business. Isn't that amazing? So the point is that you can rethink your business model canvas in time, and we thought they're going to spend money on real estate, they're going to spend money on hiring salespeople, they're going to, how many stores can they have? Like, I mean, see what they've done. Just crazy. And now, for most of you who, you know, have been born when Apple stores were already there, that don't understand, you know, what a dramatically amazing decision the Apple Store was. Right? Anyway, so their own store, a partner store, wholesale. So you can see that the job that a channel has to do is the same. They have to create awareness. They have to help customer evaluate the product. They have to facilitate the purchasing decision or buying decision. The delivery has to be happen, and then after sales service. So that those five functions don't change. But how it's actually delivered, this capability, these functions are done for your company uh, is really what this particular box is all about. And some key decisions that you make will have big impact on your cost, on your revenue line, on your customer relationship. So you can see that, you know, fundamental decisions that you make in a specific area can have huge impact, unimaginable consequences somewhere else, right? So channels, so that's the channels box. And the nice thing as an entrepreneur is you can decide. So you find that, you know, when I started Opti, I think we had a little bit of discussion, and I said that we decided not to sell our product to the big companies till we were actually ready as a company to sell the product, right? So that was my channel decision. I decided that I would only sell my product to uh, customers who would implicitly trust me without asking for documentation, without asking me for all kinds of stuff. So they would trust that I would do a good job for them, right? So that's why I went to the Far East and started selling to the small motherboard manufacturers. Yes. Um, that's actually a good point, which is like, you know, the customer segmentation sometimes determines your channel, right? So actually, if you go there, if you look at it, uh, because we decided to go to Taiwan, what ended up happening was that our channel became a Taiwanese distributor rather than a direct sales into Taiwan, right? Because as a startup, I had no idea about the import requirements into Taiwan. I had no way to, you know, even Chinese or Taiwanese to the potential customer. I don't know the language. I don't know the consequences of currency fluctuation, the payment of mindset, etc. It finally all worked out because of the LC stuff that I talked about, local credit stuff that I talked about after. And that became a competitive advantage that none of my competition even understood for about 3 years. So for 3 years, I had a huge competitive advantage on cash flow compared to my competitors. And they just didn't understand how is this company which raised no money, you know, able to deliver tens of millions of dollars worth of product out to the marketplace so fast, you know. So you can see that the decisions that you make as an entrepreneur in different facets of these nine boxes that, you know, have all kinds of consequences that play out. Okay, so the customer relationship is really, you know, where you decide the relationship between you and the customer. So, for example, if you look at brokerage firms, you know, they connect with the individual investor, right? And some of the brokerage firms will have, you know, a private client service where, you know, there's one guy who's watching your portfolio, who's watching your account, who's calling you up and saying, you know, the stock has gone up, you know, it looks like this one is ready to take off, and he's continuously watching out for you. And then you go to, and Merrill Lynch used to be doing that all the time. He used to provide all this private client service. And then Schwab comes along and says, no, we are going to provide all the information that most individual customers need on the web. And Merrill Lynch said, we will never go on the web. Can you believe that? They actually said that publicly. The CEO of Merrill Lynch said, we will never go on the web. Our customers need personal service. And you saw what happened. Schwab became a multi-billion-dollar successful brokerage firm by providing, web-based things and by transactions, etc. And the consequences was that Merrill Lynch, because they provided private client services and individual trades, they used to charge 1 or 2% of the transaction for every stock buy and sell. So if I bought, $100,000 worth of stock, I would have to pay $2,000 of stock of brokerage commission. While Schwab, website is website. Once it's done, it's done. They started charging $9 a transaction, buy 10,000 shares for $100,000, or buy 1,000 shares for $1,000 worth of shares, still $9. And you can see that individual trade essentially completely did an end run around Merrill Lynch, and finally, 10 years later, really took them 10 years to throw in the towel on their and come up with the hybrid model, some private client service and some online web service. So you can see that depending on the kind of mindset that management has or an entrepreneur has on the customer relationship side actually results in a completely different business model. And for 50 years, Merrill Lynch worked very successfully because of private client services. And then internet comes along, it facilitates web-based trading, and all of a sudden, the world changes on a 50-year-old business model that is working. Yes. Kodak also said the same thing. Exactly. So the digital cameras, right? But everybody wants a nice quality print, right? And the Polaroid will never succeed against that. So you can see that the customer relationship is another thing. And you can see that Apple actually did a reverse one. Instead of providing web, they went to Apple Store so they can provide more personalized service. So sometimes you think that, the whole world has to go to weaker and weaker and more cost-effective customer service. And sometimes just the competition will be exactly the opposite and blow you out of the water. So it's like in business, nothing is true forever. And the whole art of being an entrepreneur is knowing how to upset the apple cart. People who are happily taking in the money every quarter, making money, and all of a sudden, some competitor comes in, has already changed either the customer relationship model or the channel model or the product value proposition, or that instead of them manufacturing in the US, they go and manufacture in Mexico, they go and manufacture in China, or they outsource their customer support from the US to India, to start designing the product from Russia. And all these changes are happening dynamically all the time. And as an entrepreneur, you're looking for opportunities when you understand something better than the established players in the market, in a particular market, so that you can upset the apple cart. And hopefully they'll be stupid enough to let you, fail, but you succeed. And then you're too big to kill. Right? Maybe then they will buy you out, or you drive them into bankruptcy. So That's customer relationship. So revenue stream, again, huge number of options here because you can decide to have fixed price, non-bargaining, or you can have everything is a negotiation. You can have auctions, you can have live auctions, you can have eBay type auctions, you can have so the n number of ways in which you can decide how to make money and sell your product or service, or make your product and service available to the customer. There's n number of ways, and it's up to you to decide what what is right. But the most important thing, which should not be forgotten, is that you've got to be able to defend why you chose what you chose. If you cannot explain why you made a decision to do it this way versus this way, and those are the questions that investors will ask. Those are the questions that your potential customers will ask as to why you're doing it this way. And you've got to have logic. So essentially, an entrepreneur really can logically defend why he's doing something in a particular way in his particular company and why it is the right thing given the unique insight that you have about your business to do it that way. And then key resources obviously are in these four areas: physical resources, financial, intellectual, human. But you can see that even here it's so much flexibility. These days with outsourcing, the physical resources don't have to be owned by you. They can be leased or rented by you. Even Apple, with all their money, is not in the manufacturing business. Their physical resources are Foxtron's resources, somebody else's resources. So the physical resources are there. The financial resources, again, can be many different angles can be taken. So you can see that even development, you can outsource your development also. In fact, there are now, my friend is running an incubator where he says that uh, all he wants is the entrepreneur to come up with the idea and come up with a business plan and then have a little bit of money because uh, he provides all the engineering resources, all the marketing resources, all the sales resources, all the financial resources, and then you share the profits and then you share equity in the company. So you see that essentially there are so many ways by which even the IP or the intellectual property or the intellectual property development, product development, all of that can be, the risk can be shared, risk can be outsourced, and so on. Then, of course, the human capital. So, um, okay. Then we go to key activities. Again, key activities depending on whether you're a manufacturer, whether you're a software developer, whether you're a service provider. All the activities are different, right? Key partnerships, essentially, there's such a thing called vertical integration. When you decide to do everything from top to bottom. So initially, you're doing the design, you're doing the manufacturing, you're doing the test, you're doing the packaging, you're doing the shipping, you're doing the customer service, you're vertically integrated company. You're making the vehicles, you're doing everything. So companies like Intel and others used to be fully vertically integrated. And then, they found that it was better to let people like Corning make the crystal or the silicon bar. So because they used to make it for everybody. So Intel offloaded that. Then Intel offloaded even manufacturing to, except for some microprocessor manufacturing, all the memory chip manufacturing, everything they outsourced to Samsung, to all the Japanese companies, etc. So, companies can go from vertically integrated to just focusing on their value add. And there are companies that can go from just focusing on the value added and do backward integration. Right? So you can essentially go both ways. But again, the decisions have to be based on some sort of logic. Cost structure also is going to vary. Some people decide that they are going to have cost-based pricing. So typically, what kinds of companies compete on cost-based pricing, and who are all the commodity, all the Chinese companies, all the Asian manufacturing companies, all focus on cost-based pricing. You know, uh, whether you're buying complicated chips, or whether you're buying memory chips, or whether you're buying microprocessors, or you're buying a DSP, digital signal processors. If my cost is $100, buy for 105. Don't care. And, IP for FP store anyway. So there's no cost. I'm joking, but it's not actually joking. It's actually quite serious. Because so it's cost-based pricing because they've got no cost to the other stuff. Everything that's required. So only and their equipment can manufacture anything. They can make memory, they can make any other chip. So it's a cost-based pricing. In other cases, when you go to companies like Silicon Valley companies, typically it's all value-based pricing. And these days, it's all about free pricing, no pricing. So if you look at it, people like Dropbox, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and everybody, they're just offering free because they've got they've innovated and come up with a totally new business model, and and when that business model works, the free business model works, it results in multi-billion-dollar companies in 3 4 years because you scale up so rapidly. So you'll find that if you offer anything on the Apple Store or on Google Store, if you offer it for free, you get about 100 to 1,000 times more downloads than even if you ask for $1. I mean, you have that much elasticity in the number of downloads of the product. So free to actually even $1 can result in 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1 uh, change in the amount of users. If you go to start charging more serious money like $1,000, $10,000, $1 million, the number of users drops very rapidly. And but now you've got to have a direct sales force and others. And so you've got to use different. So when you're doing value-based selling, uh, you've got to put in more effort on your customer relationship because somebody has to convince the potential customer to buy a product, right? So things like that. Again, all of this depends on what are the characteristics of your business. Is it fixed cost driven, and do you need a multi-billion-dollar fab before you make your first chip, or with $1,000 you can jelly rig your little factory. So the fixed cost becomes an issue. Variable cost, then whether economies of scale matter or not. So for all these social media companies, it's an economy of scale business. If you can't ramp up your business, your user base to 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million users, they're not even a viable social media company. So economies of scale matter, economies of scope matter. So the whole idea is to come up with a business model and then document it on a canvas, which shows the relationship between all these 9 boxes. Right? And these 9 boxes as we saw, each box can have multiple ways of doing things. And you have to figure out why you want to have direct sales guys, whether you want to have web-based selling, whether you want to have dedicated customer support, whether you want to have just FAQs on your website, whether you want to have telesales from India trying to, without part of their accent, doing customer support. I mean, you have to decide on that. Your choice. Yeah. So one question on this cost structure was economies of scope. So if you look at it, uh, Intel used to be a broad-based semiconductor manufacturer, right? They used to make DRAM, they used to make non-volatile memory, they used to make microcontrollers, they used to make microprocessors, they used to make all things. So they could, we wanted to be kind of a one-stop shop across a broad range of products, right? Economies of scope. Then, I was there in these meetings where we used to have 8 or 9 divisions, with hundreds of employees, maybe thousands of employees. And then we would each year, Andy Grove would have this thing called a SLRP meeting, SLRP meeting, strategic long range planning meeting, where every general manager had to present a 5-year vision and plan to all the other general managers. And guess what? After the 1 week, and for 1 week, all these general managers and Andy Grove and the exec staff, Don Moore and Robert Noyce, were all closeted for 1 whole week, where each general manager was presenting his 5-year SLRP. And same thing, these 9 boxes. And suddenly you hear that they're getting out of the non-volatile DRAM business. Intel created the DRAM. It was our pride and joy of Intel. We created the DRAM. And for the first 8 or 9 years, it provided 90% of our profits and most of our revenue. And after sitting in the SLRP meeting, Andy Grove said, in 18 months, we are out of the DRAM business. So all the employees have to be either laid off or reassigned to the other divisions, but we are out of that business. So you can see that these kinds of decisions have to be made. And I would say that the brilliance of people like Andy Grove and so on, and amazing executives, was that they could go ahead and make massively difficult decisions, impossible to even fathom decisions, and they were right. And no matter how much pain it caused, how much disrupted it was to the stock price, to the employees, to the fabs, to everything. And but he made those decisions. Okay? So, hey, to answer your question, it's good. Yeah. Okay, so here is an example of So here's an example of a company called the Chart or Lakeet that I taught this class in total entrepreneurship in Ahmedabad first, in IIT Gandhinagar. That was the first time I taught it. We had 8 or 9 teams out of the class of 35. And these 2 girls and basically came up with the idea of this company called Chart. So they did a business model canvas, a chart, then they converted that into a little business plan, and they competed at IIM Ahmedabad, which is the premier Harvard of India. And that IIM Ahmedabad runs a business plan competition every year. And here are these 2 girls, engineering girls, who had just taken an 8-week course, and they came up with this idea. They presented this business plan, and they won the second prize for 75,000 rupees. So we definitely want to see from this high-powered class, folks that actually, come up with companies that really succeed actually, viable companies. Anyway, so this is their BMC business model complex, and you can see that their BMC was actually to use cloud-based system to help you find the best street food in any town or city in India. Because whoever has come from India knows that the best food is street food, right? But you've got to know, but only people who are on that street or in the neighborhood know which Rikriwala has got the right pani puris and or the right pav bhajis or the right whatever. And he's also moving all the time, and he's got his own reputation and clientele, etc. But if you're even from 2 streets away, you don't know who they are. If you're from a different suburb of Mumbai, you don't know what is the right street food to get. If you go from a Kandivali person, you don't know what to eat in Judicial, right? So they came up with the idea of providing a cloud-based system for locating the best street food in India, in any city, small city, big city, wherever. And so the whole idea, and so they use Google Maps, they use all that thing, and they actually whipped out Android application, a prototype application, and everything, all in a matter of 8 weeks, so that people could actually, if they suddenly find that something is good, they can just take some pictures, they can upload it, and they have a system and database for organizing it and make it available, and people can actually just search it and find it and all that stuff. And I think it was a pretty good idea. What do you guys think? Huh? Yeah, yes, it's similar. It's quite similar, but this is got its own challenges. So exactly, location's changing. A lot of stuff is changing. So it's Yelp but more and different, right? But still an incredibly valuable functionality for that leverages cloud, leverages mobility, leverages big data, all that stuff. So it won the second prize. Monetizing is so easy. Think of Yelp, so easy to monetize. What's it worth right now? $20 billion. Right? So this would be like Yelp for street food. And the consumption of street foods in China and Southeast Asia is huge, right? Everywhere, even in the US. So I would say that unfortunately, her co-founder, this girl was all committed to one on the right hand side. She was all committed to building the company, but her co-founder, her parents said you have to get a job, and she got a very good job. So basically, the team has not come together as yet. I think this is still a very viable idea, and it's definitely something. So, if any of you want to join a very good entrepreneur in Ahmedabad, then he's still waiting to build a team and get going. So, anyway, uh, yeah, go ahead. Yes. So I'll tell you, an entrepreneur is just trying to survive. So I would say that essentially you want to look to the milestones in entrepreneurs' life are funding milestones. Each funding round takes them to the next scale of things, right? Or the next. So I would say that your BMC should at least do maybe a 2 or 3 year thing, but it should really focus on why what you're doing is going to work between this round and the next round. So yes, overall, the story that it paints, or the picture that it paints, should cover the viability of the company. But the activities are the ones that will determine, so for example, if you look at Facebook's BMC, let's just take Facebook BMC. When Mark Zuckerberg was a student at Harvard, at that time, BMC would be focused on just getting Harvard students and other Ivy League students to use the product. Right? A year later, when he already had all the Ivy Leaguers and all the East Coast schools using it, to be okay, now how do I get it so that colleges all over the US use it? Then it became like all over the world. Then it became like, not just students. Why can't we go after yuppies? And soon they found that, grandmas are the real target for the market segment. And, Mark Zuckerberg, if he had thought of grandmas, he would have not had a company off the ground. It would have never taken off the ground. So there would be no excitement to get it off the ground. No, it's, yeah. Right. Yeah, so basically, like, the BMC helps you convince all the people that you're going to become a part of your ecosystem, right? Your employees, your partners, your investors, the bank. So all of these people essentially need to understand your story or the vision that you have. Right? Your vision is really your story as to what is your game plan. Right? So this is all about documenting the game plan in a way that can be justifiably explained to whichever audience you're trying to explain. The employees, you can explain it one way. The salespeople, you can explain it one way. And say, look, you guys, your job is to communicate this as effectively as possible, and we must have a margin of so much. But I used to always have these debates with my salespeople. They would say that, your cost of making the software, enterprise software, is like what, $50,000? Why are you forcing me to sell it for $1 million? That was, it's so much easier for salesmen to sell it for $100,000. He said, I'm doubling your money, but why do you want to charge $1 million? Because they lose sales, right? And then he doesn't make his commission. So, but as management, it's my job to explain to him what the overall vision of the company is and how it all fits together and why, yes, my variable cost might be $50,000, but my total cost of delivering this and supporting it for the 5 year period of whatever period it is, it's really going to be $500,000 to support the customer. So that's why I need you to sell it for $1 million. So the BMC gives you your ability to communicate what you want. Yeah, so the question that just came in was for Opti, do we know the answers before we actually you find that as an entrepreneur, very often you just solve the problem directly in front of you. And you say that, when the next problem comes, I'll solve it. When the next problem comes, I'll solve it. And so, I think if we had thought through everything, I think we would have never started something. Simple as that. And that's true for entrepreneurs. So as an entrepreneur, you really want to stay focused. For example, I'll give you an example. Like one of the entrepreneurs in Mumbai that I had come over and who actually helped me in getting the course and all that. So this guy came up with a company called Cheeky Chunk. The name of his company, Cheeky Chunk. So, and this kid, young kid, 22-year-old kid, he visited IIT Bombay, entrepreneurship conference where there were 2,000 entrepreneurs. He sat into all these classes and listened to all these successful entrepreneurs and all that. And he got an MBA from developers and all that. So, got motivated and said, I want to be an entrepreneur. And so, but he's saying, what's the try? So, he's sitting and thinking. And then on the train back from ID to back to his home in Matunda, said, all the umbrellas that people are carrying are black. Why don't I create an umbrella that is fun? And there's one which has a fashion statement. So, maybe, some people are foodies. They like vada pav, they like pizza, they like this. I'll put some pictures of that and that. And some people like, to be funny, so I'll put jokes on it. Other people like music, so I'll have some music verses and all that and that. And other people like something else, cartoons, so I'll put cartoons. So create a company where essentially people can choose umbrellas as a fashion statement, as something that represents the personality. And, he got his parents to invest like 2 lakh rupees, and he went to a umbrella manufacturer and made 1,000 umbrellas. And, in India, monsoon, as soon as the monsoons hit in Bombay, first 2 weeks is when all the sales happen for the whole year. So you only have 2 weeks to sell your umbrellas. So he got his umbrellas out in enough shops and so on in the street and here and there. And he got them to hang it up here and there. And a lot of college kids started buying these umbrellas. Like girls, etc., would love to have an umbrella that, they could stand out. Uh, so, 1,000 umbrellas, it was normal umbrella goes to 200 rupees and he got 500 rupees for each umbrella. So he knew that he validated his market, right? So this year, the second year, he decided that he would manufacture 25,000 umbrellas. And he contacted Snapcart, he contacted Amazon, he contacted Flipkart, and it's very easy to get your product onto all of these channels these days. They just put it on and no big deal. And put it on, and he was on page 20. And nobody buys anything from page 20 of Amazon, right? If somebody searches umbrella and you're on page 20, but don't believe it. His product is now on page 1, and it's the third umbrella from the top. And he's selling out, and he's short of product for 25,000 umbrellas. And it's a one-man band. He outsources umbrella manufacturing. He's shipping it through e-commerce. He hires temporary workers to pack those umbrellas and ship them when the orders come in. All the collections, everything is done by Amazon, and just sending the money every 2 weeks. And this year he made more money than most all of his fellow MBA students. Selling 25,000 umbrellas, and so We did a BMC for the first year, we did a BMC for him for the second year, and the BMC focus changed completely when you're making 1,000 umbrellas and you're validating the market to making 25,000 umbrellas and providing some real production. So the BMC for the second year, the main focus, believe it or not, is quality control, returns, you know, shipping without, damaging the product, etc. There doesn't get damage in the shipment, uh, collections from all the shopkeepers. So the whole BMC changed from the right-hand side, the customer side, it changed to the left-hand side. And maybe in the third year, the whole fake focus will change to the cost and revenue because it's a money-making business. Right? The whole focus is like, should I actually invest in 100,000 umbrellas? You'll be making multiple crore rupees all in 1 month. And then the remaining 9 months or 10 months, you can vacation. So this business only really has to work for the last 3 months, 2 months before it's manufacturing, and 1 month selling, and then it's done. The beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur and with your new ideas is that the competition generally is very low. It's not going to work. Who the hell wants to buy something that says Vada Pav? I love Bombay because it rains, or some corny joke or the other. So the thing is that entrepreneurs actually succeed because nobody thinks you're going to succeed. And, the whole issue is about, gas to the pedal to the metal, while the big companies are trying to figure out, whether to enter your market or not. Because, look, the whole focus of umbrella manufacturing, because everything was black. They've got no designers. They've got no creative people in the organization. They've got no product managers. They've got no MBAs on the customer focus side. How are they going to come up with, maybe they'll come up with the orange umbrella. That might be the most creative thing they can think of. They can't think of an umbrella that has got style and pizzazz and so on. So, huh? Yeah, okay, there it is. You like it, right? You'd be willing to pay 500 rupees instead of 200 rupees for a black umbrella. And, V for Vada Pav, B for Barish, then curve for cutting. I don't know. Huh? Oh, half cup tea. And serve for Sutta. What is that? Cigarettes. See, I mean, but the thing is that I'm just trying to give you, how entrepreneurs actually go ahead and come up with these amazing stuff, and that's what, and when I talk to him, he has visions of, converting his umbrella into something about, t-shirt business, hats business, because I've got 10 months free. What do I do in that 10 months? So now he's thinking about, what if I go ahead and hire a designer? Now I'm going to keep him employed for 10 months. What if I have, actually put in a factory? Then I'm going to fill the factory there. My shopkeepers, how do I keep building relationships? Maybe I should have more products. So the thing is that your whole BMC evolves year by year as your company changes profile. At some point, I will actually, run this presentation for you guys. Just to, you see him, he's a young kid, 22-year-old kid, and now he's making crores of rupees until you know three or four contract employees, that come and work and just pack it up for 2 months. Yeah. Yeah, so you can keep changing your value proposition all the time. You can just keep changing. If you notice, and that's what we call pivots. So, we can keep pivoting the company by making changes. Absolutely, and they might replace you. So the whole challenge sometimes is how to maintain your seat while changing your direction. So you got to figure out how to communicate, right? I mean, every time you pivot, good chance that you might be out of your job too. Happens all the time. But the thing is that you know, uh, there are many ways by which you can convince yourself. Okay, so all this is there in the presentation. So as you guys develop your own BMCs, you can actually go back to some of the BMCs that you can see people have done to really understand, because when you work in a group, you'll find, some people get stuck on one box, get stuck on a value proposition. In your own team, of 3 or 4 people that are going to be on your team. And your job as an entrepreneur is to actually convince other people as to which is the right thing, and as a team, you've got to come to the right decision. So the job of an entrepreneur is really being an effective communicator also. And somebody's got a better idea. Doesn't mean you've got to hang on to your idea. So, the idea is that as a group, you've got to win. Okay, so I would say that, what I'd like all of you guys to do is, once the teams are formed, etc., is to go ahead and see the videos. And I don't know if I can play a video just to show you what the video looks like. Nice. Anyway, so there are 6 videos that kind of explain the whole BMC and how it makes sense. We went through it in a presentation form. So, so basically, let's take a 10-minute break, and then let me quickly go through and see how many people have entered on the wiki. Okay, so, I asked you guys to go to the wiki, and then go to see all your children, and then go to Entrepreneurship ESV101 2015 Startup Ideas. And I think idea number 26 or 20, 26 or 27. Okay. Okay, oh, we have to idea 30, not bad. Okay, perfect. So we will go ahead and we just walk through it, in a sequential fashion from idea 1. Do not take more than maximum 3 minutes. I would prefer, my preference would be less is better, but as quickly and concisely and effectively get your idea across. And the whole reason to get across, and you guys who are actually sitting in the audience should make a note, and give weighting to these ideas as to interesting to you or not interesting to you, so that as soon as all the ideas have been pitched, you can reach out to the person who pitched an idea that you thought was going to be interesting and that you think would like to participate. You can go there and we'll have, essentially, first we'll try to bring down the 30 ideas to about a dozen, 12, and then we'll just have the 12 people sit at each of the 12 tables, and then people can just zoom into whichever table they want, and form a team, so that by the next 10 days, on July 9th, exchange your emails, etc., so that by July 9th, you can actually, have met a few times and you have a BMC ready for your for each of the 12 teams. Okay? Okay. Good. Huh? Yeah, but then if somebody might end up with, just 2 people, and some people might end up with 10 people. So you'll have 4 or 5 people go somewhere else. I don't know. Wherever we go to a number 2. So I have at least 2 or 3 that you would potentially like to get onto. Okay? Okay, so let's meet in 10 minutes because I think we are going to be tight. Okay, for
So what is happening is you sent me second
oh, the set gone up, right? Okay, down to 3. Okay, don't stop it. No. Well, we can send the link again. We send it again. Okay. I know. Yeah, just things. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of put an idea in just there, but it's just not in the right page. It's just upset.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Yeah.
116 comes up, we may have to.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, ultimately the goal here is to live. It's not really to, if something really happens, great. But in general, the idea is to just live. So basically a team that you think you can blend in with, and you can find it. That's number one. Yeah. 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 So just go and come and talk back. Why is that?
login as you, I will be able to see it because I'm logging as me, which is not yet visible.
You should present it and then see that, collaborate. Just do that in 30 seconds. No, no, no. No.
System was background and
It's around 9:30. Okay, next this weekend. Yeah, really mess it up. Okay. No, I think it's the other one. It's not a thing. But that won't get you into your, yeah, that won't get you into, okay. So just copy the URL. Yeah, just copy the URL.
Sure. Sorry. I know you. I think a basin somewhere I even do. Unless you have a microphone, right?
Microphone is right here. You speak to it. Turn on. Oh, it is on.
Yeah.
So here. Oh,
So I think I turn on the volume.
so it is a Skype. We call it from Skype.
Oh, from India.
Yeah. So yeah, the same guy called several times, and here is another guy who called from India. This
Call
is the India number.
probably on their end.
0240. He is a Skype user, and I cannot.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. Let's move over there. Let's move over there. Yes, I can.
Okay, guys, we're going to restart. Okay.
I think you open a new hangout. People will come to your hangout. So,
At one point we had.
because you have this one, you only have this person. So you have another one that is open here. Oh, actually closed? Or it's already closed? It was here. So actually, a lot of people were logging it over there. So, yeah. Can you hear?
Okay, we are going to go live. Okay, let's get started. Ready?
Hello? Okay, perfect. So we just slide down, go from idea one onward. So, Timir, 3 minutes. Timir? Okay. Hello. Okay. Good evening. My name is Ilker Timir. I'm here to present sensor sec or security of things. With a quick question. Who was at TICOM this year? Perfect. And who was at Ashar Aziz's presentation? A few hands. Let me quickly summarize. He is the founder of FireEye, a leading security company with a valuation of $7+ billion right now. And I found the speech inspirational when I was sitting at TICOM in his presentation. What he said back in 2004, 2005, when he was out to start this company, he looked at the landscape and wanted to project what would happen 4 or 5 years later, so in 2009, 2010. And he started developing the solution for that threats that he envisioned. And he put one slide in his deck from the Series A pitching, the slide that he used for literally looking for investors in 2005. And it was amazingly accurate. I found it amazingly inspirational. So what I want to do here is, let's do the same exercise. Right? We are in 2015. Let's look at 2020 and try to project the security problems that we will face. What comes to mind? Yes, IoT comes to mind. What is IoT? Internet of Things. What are those things? They can be many things. They can be any kind of sensor relating to healthcare. It can be about your plants. It can be about your children. It can be about your parents. It can be literally about everything. We are talking about 50 billion things by 2020. Right now, the population of the world is 7 billion. So 7 times more than the people living on this planet will start communicating with each other. And what is going to happen? All these things are going to have security problems, and it's an unsolved problem. Gartner puts security as the #1 inhibitor in IoT adoption today. So it's a well-known problem. Okay, this is great, but how are we going to tackle this problem? If you look at IoT, what you see is they are, from a technology perspective, from a security perspective, which obviously is my background, is 10 to 15 years behind the IT industry. The problems and the solutions that we developed 10, 15 years ago are only applicable to the IoT scenario, because all those sensors don't have bandwidth, don't have power, and have very limited resource powers. This means that you strip out security. Reminds you something where the things were not built with security back in 2000s, and we are still dealing with them. So the whole notion is taking those concepts that's been proven in the IT space. What is that? Doing targeted vulnerability research, identifying vulnerabilities, identifying threats, and turning them into detection mechanisms like intrusion detection systems and such. This has been proven in the industry. IDS in IT space is a $1.1 billion business today. And it's going to be a similar model that's going to repeat itself in IoT. I think there's a huge opportunity to do there, and the opportunity is out there for someone to do that and run. Thank you. Shashida.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sashida. I'm going to present you about C2. There are a lot of experts in the world where they have time to spare. Just to give an example, a lot of people have wonderful hobbies and they really expertise on some of the things that they're really interested in, but they're doing 9-to-5 jobs. So if you provide an opportunity for them to create a prodigy in that expertise that a particular individual has, then they are willing to spend the time and create the prodigies and have the fulfillment. At the same time, there are a lot of seekers who want to find the teachers, mentors, coaches, but there are a lot of barriers between these two guys, right? Where you can find a coach locally, you can find a tutor locally, you can find a mentor locally, but with the invention of internet and the social networking and all that, there are a lot of online tools as well. But the problem with that is many of the experts, they do not have technical know-how, how to do the stuff, how to get into the internet, how to use a computer technology, things like that. So what I'm trying to provide in Seek Guru is for a prodigy to seek a guru from anywhere, and for a guru to seek a prodigy from anywhere. So now, how do we break the barriers? Right, the technology barrier can be broken by providing technical know-how details to the experts who want to spend some time, and for the seekers, providing where the expertise lies. At the same time, there are a lot of issues with these kinds of concepts, especially if you use like a Skype teaching and online video teaching. If you put two individuals online, many things can happen, right? So parents are not very comfortable leaving their kids taught by someone who is unknown person on online. So what the Guru provides is a secure mechanism where parents have full control on what is happening. And so this is what I'm trying to provide, where I believe it would have exponential opportunity for all the seekers, at the same time for expertise as well. Thank you.
Idea 3.
Look tab.
Hi, my name is Parmveer Sandhu. I am a product developer at Spectrum Brands. I also co-own and manage a trucking company that provides full truckload services to the 48 states. So before I share this problem that we're trying to solve, I want to share a couple of statistics with you guys. 67% of freight moved in the United States is on a truck, which translates to about $600 billion in freight trucking revenue. 2.4 million trucks haul about 9.2 billion tons of freight a year. What does that all mean? Millions of trucks generating hundreds of billions in dollars in revenue. So the problem we're trying to solve taps into a portion of that market. The problem we've solved focuses on small trucking companies, which is about 8 or less trucks. And these trucking companies, they fail to secure dedicated freight. A lot of the mega carriers that are in the trucking industry dominate that space. The reason being, these mega carriers have far more trucking capacity and can cover a lot larger volume. So these small carriers are forced into using outdated online platforms, which are called load boards. And these outdated platforms require hours of phone calls and fax orders to secure freight. In an industry where 67% of truck drivers are now using smartphones, hours of phone calls and fax orders are still being used. So, excuse me. So we have a solution to this problem. It's a cloud connecting web and mobile that brings an Uber-like model. I say Uber-like because it's not copying an exact Uber model. When everyone was saying that the taxi industry is highly regulated, Uber came out, proved everyone wrong, penetrated that space. Well, the trucking industry is also very highly regulated. What is a truck? It's an 80,000-pound death machine going down a freeway or down a hill. And thus, government agencies highly scrutinize trucking companies. So we have a solution that can help connect these small companies and help them book freight in real time with using the web and the cloud, and bring in this Uber-like model that works around these regulations. Thank you.
Shiva.
Thank you all. My name is Siva Devak, as already mentioned. I'm already an entrepreneur, running an IT services company. And this idea came from my own experience, the problem I was facing in India. So I have an offshore center in India, right, where we have business running people working from office center. And we also have vendors who would actually supply various resources. It could be the computers, and we also need the space, and various other vendors who may be providing some sort of professional services, right? So how do you make the payments to these guys? Make a check, cash, or maybe bank transfer, right? So even for a small business like us, or like the company that I run, every month we have to sit in and take a look at, okay, what all invoices we're getting and what are the payment terms, load it up to the bank, and then go make the payment. So it's all a lot of manual work. So such a small company we spend maybe a couple of hours on this, just doing manual work. And many times the payments are delayed is because you're kind of working on so many things and you don't even know when the payment terms, I mean rather the due date is, and you may have a vendor kind of asking you. And sometimes maybe the bill comes in, it needs some approval. So everything kind of needs like a lot of manual work. So imagine a bigger company who is working with hundreds and thousands of vendors and need to make payments. And at the same time, a vendor like a computer shop who is actually trying to rent his computers to 100 different companies. And he got to go ahead and collect payments from everyone. So basically, in this business transaction, you got a buy side and a sell side. And the payments that are done between the sellers and the buyers is mostly driven by the checks or the cash or credit card payments sometimes. A lot of money wasted, time wasted, and there's no business operational efficiency at all, right? So what I was thinking, why can't we actually go create a billing, a management, like a network of all these people, where they can actually go submit the invoice, send it to the actual customer, and get a payment done. And similarly, the businesses can actually go take all the invoices from the vendors and make the online payments just between business to business. So that's going to improve the operational efficiency, as well as you don't need to worry about the additional commission that you need to pay. It would be just bank to bank. So that's the idea behind this. Right.
Global planning.
Roman. Okay. Okay. Nagarajan.
Hi, my name is Nagarajan, and I used to work for Cisco until last December, and now I am just trying to um, learn more about medical devices as I am trying to build a company based on services that analyze the medical data. And I'm also trying to build certain services around this space. It is very much related to some of the presentations earlier related to IoT. But if you think about it, most of the medical data is very closed and private, and it's not even accessible to each individual patient. It is highly regulated, which has to be true. But when the scale of these devices and the scale of services um, like Fitbit and Apple Watch, the number of sensors are increasing by the day, and the services which analyze this data and come up with solutions also is increasing. So there has to be some kind of a standard platform to allow the data and services to be mixed and matched by the patient himself with the help of physician. Currently, most of the services are not certified by FDA, and they cannot be used by a physician to make a decision about health condition of a patient or prescribe some more sensors or services to him to manage his condition. So I'm just trying to come up with a solution to this, and maybe try to have a platform which is open and where data can be securely brought in by the patient himself, and he owns the data. And anybody who specializes in analyzing that particular kind of data, for example, blood pressure. So some company can come up with a a sense service which takes blood pressure data, correlates with some other parameter, and provides a guidance about a particular medical condition. So I'm just trying to build services along those lines. So if anybody else is interested, you can just come talk.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Kandari. I'm actually based in LA, and me and my co-founder, we are actually coming up and down each time for each class. So, because we don't have stuff like this in LA, so it's actually really cool, and we're super excited to be here. So a little bit about me. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my entire life. I started a web design business when I was 10, e-commerce when I was 11, started trading stocks when I was 12, never had a losing year after I was 14. So a bunch of stuff. Actually, when I was 16, it was kind of funny. So I grew up in Miami, and me and my buddy, we went down to like a South Beach nightclub and we tried to get in, and unfortunately, they didn't let us in because we were too young. And of course, we were super offended, and we said, "What the hell? Like, we're gonna, start our own party company because if we're the boss, nobody can keep us out." So we booked a venue. We hired DJs, bouncers, promoters, all of that. And we threw a pretty successful 21 and over party when we were 16. And so that's pretty much been our attitude in life, that like you can't let rules in the system get in the way. And that's kind of the way I approach my business and everything that I do. So after college, went to Deutsche Bank. I was an investment banker, worked on billions of dollars of like equity, debt, M&A transactions, a bunch of IPOs. Was a top ranking analyst, saved pretty much every penny I could and used it to bootstrap my company called Canvas. And basically the idea is everyone that I've ever met has at some point in time wanted to build their own website, but most of them actually aren't able to, either because of the cost or because it's too hard. And there's a bunch of website builders out there, Squarespace, Weebly, Wix, there's a ton, but all of them are just too hard. And even if you somehow manage to build a website on them, it looks terrible. Like the whole point of having a website for a lot of people is that if you have a great looking web presence, you can look like $1 million company even if you don't have an office. But if your website looks like it's a template and that you did it yourself, that whole value prop just went away. And so at Bold Canvas, we're working on fixing that problem. We're building basically the super intuitive like user interface where there's no more like dragging, dropping, cropping images manually and like fiddling with the column widths. And so we have a functional prototype. It's doing relatively well. And the end product that you create is actually a beautiful website that doesn't look like a template. It looks like you had $1 million design team build it for you. So internet penetration is growing all over the world pretty rapidly. It's our view that over the next 10 years, there's going to be 1 billion new websites made. And we're working really hard to build a platform that we think a big piece of that next 1 billion websites is going to be powered by. So you can check it out. It's actually live. It's boldcanvasbeta.com. And anyone in the class, if you want to build a website, we'll help you. We'll give you a free account. And if you're interested in what we're working on, we'd love to talk to you. Thanks.
Vipin Agarwal. Hi everybody, my name is Vipin Agarwal and I left Apple 1 month ago to start my company Deep Data. So don't think I'm crazy or something. So before I talk about Deep Data product, just imagine that there is a remote location which has 10 MB to 10 megabytes to 50 megabytes of data being generated every per second, and that data has to be shipped to cloud or a central location. And at the same time, we need to make sense of that data as well. How do we do that? And catch is that link speed at that point is only 5 Mbps. So what we really need to do is put a compute engine at the remote location itself so that we can do real-time analytics on it. We have to put a storage at the remote location itself so that we can account for the unreliable link. And most of all, we need to understand the data so that we can get rid of redundancies and get rid of unnecessary information from the data. Now, this problem is real and exists in industrial Internet of Things. There are tens of thousands of sensors generating data every few milliseconds, and that data is creating this exclusion which has to be managed and acted upon. So for a customer in industrial IoT, and solving this problem is cost prohibitive. Either they don't have a skill and it is time consuming. And Team is trying to solve that problem. Why for our industrial customers? So how we deliver this? We deliver a high performance and low latency software data fabric which can take data from these sensors and deliver it to all the parties which play the role into this or need to act on this data. So we ship it to remote locations, we give it to cloud, and all of this is done at a push a button at a central location, and everything can be configured, and it is seamless and scalable. With the help of Team's patented technology, we can deliver 20x throughput and lowest latency than our nearest competitor right now. We are targeting right now $1 billion market out of $6 billion data management platform market. Right now we are 3 founders, and if any of you have industrial experience or have access to industrial customer, please let me know. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ivan Baev, and the idea behind the product called EcoShower is the current severe drought in California and also Australia, and this is going to stay, you know. And more importantly, the consumption of water by exposure of people who use it, by permission of industrial needs, is going to make water one of the most valuable products in no time. And according to 1999 study, residential shower takes about 19-20% of whole residential water consumption in US. So the idea is just to develop a new product line of showers that significantly reduce water consumption by several possible elements. Right? One is mixing water and air and creating the illusion, the perception of the person that is the same strength and pressure, right? 100% water. Actually, there's certain experimental work in this area. Second idea is to create a shower with multiple streams, so it just by enabling reducing the time to get cleaner, right? And the third one is just introducing computer technology just in order to personalize showering experience, whether you're tall or small or lean or, you know, it's just technology can allow us to make our shower experience much shorter, right? And with the same experience as now. And of course, this is long term, just to introduce new technology, maybe by using some different technology like fog or some other non-water thing that will just help creating faster and more efficient water use. Thank you.
So, Kamlesh, are you there? British.
Hello everyone, I'm Brijesh Datta and I'm a product manager with an IoT startup here. And before that, I have worked in healthcare industry for 7 years. And I know that health is very important to all of you, to me, everyone. Let me tell you a small story about my friend Julia, who works with me as an analyst. She has her husband and 2 small kids at home. And they also think health is important. So they made a decision at the start of 2015 that they have a resolution now to eat right. And then she was talking about her whole experience of trying to follow a diet plan and how she had to do hours of research on the internet and then make a plan, go to groceries, run from one aisle to another, and then as she waits in the payment queue, she calls her husband saying that she did not find so many things and she is over budget. Few weeks later, they gave up. I want to change this situation for Julia and many others in Julia's household. And the way that we plan to change it is by providing a platform which will work as a buddy from the state of creating a diet plan to touching all the channels where the users exist to provide and maximize on convenience and cost effectiveness and time effectiveness. A big part of our solution will be to provide and track data so that we can let them know how they are doing as a family and how they are doing compared to their peers who are also trying to eat right. We are also trying to provide a platform where they can collaborate and remain motivated to eat right. How do we make money? We will launch this platform to our users for free. And you know, the wellness industry is growing at a 6% and is going to be an 8 billion business by 2020. We are planning to tie up with health plans who actually sell health insurance for the employees, for the employers who actually employ people. And we want to tie this plan with those health plans and make money. The second revenue channel is we will continue to provide insights to our users and suggest them what to eat and what they can do to do it better. And we expect in that space the manufacturers or the producers of grocery items to really do some targeted marketing, and that will be our second revenue. I'm actively working on the idea, and if you want to join me, please get in touch. Thank you.
Srinath, no.
Srinath.
Hi, my name is Srinath Boli, and I'm presenting Unwired. So now, the problem that we face is we lack power. So now, if you're checking your cell phone right now, you might see that you have low power, and you might see low power, and then you need to charge your cell phone. You may need it to get home, in fact, because you may not know the directions home. So in order to fix that, my company and my idea, Unwired, is integrating power mats into furniture. So now tables in front of you, corporate desks, all these furniture items will have power mats integrated into them. And what we will do is we will build receivers for each of your cell phones, laptops, desktops, and these receivers will, when placed on the table, they will start charging your devices. So now you'll never need to run out of power. So right now, if you're using a laptop, if you plug the receiver in, your laptop would be charging because the power mat is transferring electricity to the charger. So now you never need to see that. And you never need to see that low power sign. You never need to face any sort of power problems. So now where I plan to integrate this is in corporate offices. Now we don't want to drag our chargers down to meetings and things. So instead we'd integrate power mats into the tables. Now this is the first of its kind. You may have seen things at Starbucks that are similar to this idea, but they're very primitive in technology. We plan to expand it. We plan to go to corporate offices. We plan to take it to conferences and much more. Thank you.
Prem Salem.
Hi, my name is Prem Seelan. I work as a program manager at Intel in the wearables division, but the idea here is nothing to do with wearables. Uh, I called it Rent a Roof. Basically, how many of you guys have investment properties which you are renting out right now in US? In India? Okay, so do you guys think it's easy to find property management companies to, which is trustable to rent, to find in any of these countries? I think that's been a big challenge even for me, and finding an end-to-end solution basically for owners to post their properties and finding the right rental management company and then finding the renters, as well as going through all the payment process and your agreements and all that. So this is going to be a challenge. I guess there are vacation rental homes right now. I mean, rental sites like Airbnb and VRBO and all that, but they don't really cover your investment properties, and it doesn't do an end-to-end solution. So that's where I'm looking to see if we can build a solution here and probably convince Raj here to invest $500,000.
Yeah, hi, my name is Mekla, and we are into B2B market. We have a manufacturing operations management software. If you look at the market right now, it's kind of segregated into two sectors, like large enterprises and small and mid-sized manufacturing companies. The large enterprises, they take an year to evaluate the software because there are hundreds of vendors, maybe about 100 vendors are there. And they take a year to evaluate which platform really fits into their enterprise. And then they have a 5-year roadmap. They end up spending like $50 million per enterprise. So there are so many big manufacturing enterprises, but they have been still running on the paper-based and the legacy systems. So all of these systems are not well connected. They generate the data and then they push them into the different silos. So if you ask any CEO or chief operations officer, and if you ask him a real-time information, it takes maybe a couple of days for him to get back to you. That's the real-time scenario right now. That's what is happening with all these big manufacturing companies. And if we go to the small and mid-sized manufacturing companies, obviously these people cannot afford that $1 million software. So they are keeping away from that. But these small guys are feeding actually the spare parts or the small subcomponents into the big manufacturer. If you take any big car, all the pedals or brake pads, everything, or the display units, ramps, and everything is coming from the small suppliers. They don't have the MES or MOM systems. So we built a horizontal and a vertical convergence where you can afford it, and then maintenance-free infrastructure, push everything to the cloud, and then use the latest technologies. Everything runs in a memory and faster, and then lean the IT infrastructure. Most of the times what happens is when you own these enterprise systems, a big group forms, an IT manager taking care of that, and a bunch of people like 5-6 guys, and every year you're spending like at least $500,000 to manage that, and the life cycle is hardly 5 years, and then you're up for another hardware software upgrade, and then which doesn't fit with the whole ecosystem of your IT infrastructure. So right now the product is launched, and we are looking for it's perfectly fit for big, small, any manufacturing company as long as it is discrete. And we are open for any market. If you have a good sales and marketing people, you can really push to the market and expand the footprint quickly. So we are open for that. So I'm the only founder right now, so no investment taken so far. So.
Anisha Anisetti.
Hi, my name is Anisha Anisetti, and I'm a teenager. I'm an American teenager, so as you know, American teenagers are struggling with not only self-esteem issues, but we're also struggling with obesity issues. We have 1/3 of my fellow 28 million teenagers are struggling with obesity issues, and my solution to this is an app called SASTA. SASTA, it originates from the Gaelic language, and the word itself means happiness. So this application is designed to provide information to teenagers with the teenagers with weight problems to help them transition into a healthy lifestyle. The app will include healthy food options for snacks and meals, a calendar to track one's improvements, a chat to talk to peers who may be dealing with a similar weight issues, and exercise tailored to each user. So the thing is, teenagers aren't really looking to guidance from adults or people they don't see, they don't understand that adults understand them. So I think it'd be great if teenagers could talk to peers who have issues like they do. And the app also has a capability to track users at fast food restaurants and send them monthly updates on the frequency of visits along with statistics of what will happen if you continue to eat at places like that. This is important because if you go to McDonald's once, you don't really think about it, and pretty soon you go there once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And then this app will help you understand that you've been going there multiple times a week. It'll help you understand that this is not good for you. So if you'd like to help me with this, then you should talk to me to help children too. Okay, thank you.
So money.
Yes, sir.
Sorry for the 260s. My name is Mani Velupako. I've been working in the real estate and insurance industries for several years. I'm not going to say how many. Let me ask, how many in this room have ever purchased a real estate property? A significant number. And how many among you would say the whole process that you went through was a very pleasant experience? You understood every charge, every dollar you spend on it. Okay, that validates a little bit. The reality is the real estate industry is stuck from the 20th century. They've tried to modernize it in several ways by giving web forms for data capture or some other form or electronic signatures. But the reality is the underlying infrastructure that runs the entire process is still antiquated and bloated. There are numerous entities and several fees associated with each entity that you, the customer, pays because of the constraints that come with the process. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way. For a long time, there are newer companies like Redfin, or Zillow, or others. They try to bring some transparency to it, but they are constrained by, they can do it to some extent, but the constraints, the underlying constraints still exist. And so the solution, so naturally there has to be a better way, right? How many here have heard about Bitcoins? Almost everyone. How about blockchains? So essentially, the underlying technology behind Bitcoins is called blockchain, right? Bitcoins is a use case, an implementation on top of it. Now, and it's a protocol that enables transfer of value. And Bitcoin being a currency was the first and most obvious implementation on top of it. But why not extend Bitcoin, this blockchain into other areas? I'm not the first one to think about it. There are several minds who've already thought about it. But one industry that could really use more efficiencies and accuracy in any transaction is the real estate industry. So my idea is to try to create an infrastructure which would not just involve the players in the real estate industry, but also include government regulations and other entities to bring a paradigm shift in how real estate is purchased and exchanged. Unlike many other ideas, this idea is still in the infancy, so I don't have a company and I'm not actively working on it. It's just an idea at this time. Thank you.
You don't have to go out of it, but that's fine. Right. My name is, can you guys hear me? Okay. So my name is Venkatesh Srinivasan. My background is in is in purchasing and operations, and I come from the world of automotive and consumer electronics. Uh, I do not have any background in IP or data like most of you guys do. But what things I do like, one of the things I do like is food. Who over here in this room likes food? Just raise a hand, right? Now, those who didn't raise their hand, I got news for you. You still got to eat, right? Now, okay. So, who likes to eat food which is wrapped in germs, E. coli, bacteria, pesticide, allergens? Raise your hand. Nobody. Oh, you do. Huh? Yeah. You're right. So, who over here likes street food? Street food? Anybody? A few, right? Okay. So it turns out that the idea I have is for a dipstick tester that could test food before you eat it. And it's very relevant. I'll tell you why. A few months back, I moved back to California. I moved into California, and within 2 months, every month, I had severe case of you could call it like cramps and whatnot, right? So I was in the emergency twice every month, right? Uh, I kind of know what I ate. I kind of know from where I ate it, but I don't want to say, right? But the point is, if I knew the food that I'm eating was possibly contaminated with allergens or had, I don't know, bacteria in it, I would have never eaten it, right? I go to China all the time. I go to India all the time, and I see the street food, and I want to eat it, but I can't eat it because now I am so scared that I don't know what's going to happen to me. Oftentimes, you find me sitting at a desk eating food and I'm sweating because I got food allergies, I suppose. And I would love to know what's in it and if I could know that beforehand. So the idea is to have a dipstick, and the dipstick would be programmable, reusable, inexpensive, accurate, and robust. That it predicts at least base case of allergens or contaminants in the food, and we dipstick it, test it within 10 seconds, 30 seconds, you know what it is, and I could feel good about myself that I'm eating something which is good. Equally, street vendors or food trucks could test their food periodically to see if they're serving good food. And of course, this is going to be, food inspectors are probably going to love it. So if you want to make germ-free food eating a reality consistently all the time, 100% of the time, join me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ajay, and this idea came to me at 4 p.m. today, so not matured yet. But the problem I'm trying to solve here is we are on internet every time, and it's going to explode. Like all you guys are coming up with new ideas. Everyone will have new app. So, but who has time to go through all that? We have only 24 hours a day, and with the work we are doing on internet, on the home shopping, bill payment, everything we are doing on internet. We don't have time. So, with this platform, we are trying to give a solution that okay, can we buy that time? Like we can download certain activities that we personally don't need to do. We can upload it to somebody else. Like we can hire somebody that okay, I want to buy a certain product, certain shopping. Can you do this search for me? Okay, I have identified these 4 or 5 things. Can you look for this particular item in either in Target or Macy's or some other website and give me an analytical or maybe a comparative by evening or maybe tomorrow. That will help me to make a decision or something. Another way to look at it, like somebody has already done that search, and he can
Hello.
sell it to me, or
Hello.
he can sell it to somebody.
Hello.
So I'm trying to create a platform which can do all sort of things. There can be many things can be done with it, but yeah, at least you can start with this. That's all.
Well, hey guys, my name is